The fact that at some point they fought against people who are also our enemies doesn't mean they're our friends. That's not realpolitik. That's stupid politik. Now, showing you again how the media, I don't put memes up on the show because they're for all kinds of copyright reasons and things. And I hate memes, especially about serious things like war most of the time. Right. But one of them I saw this morning, it was meant to be, none of this is really in any way humorous, but it made a point. There was a meme up this morning. It's Donald Trump with a magic hat on. It said, my next magic trick will be getting the Democrats to defend Iran. And sure enough, we've seen that sadly emerge along with their buddies, of course, the Democrats in the media. I mean, I just said the same thing twice. Now, remember the Washington Post? I'll get to their tweet in a second. When we killed Baghdadi, another animal savage who Conan the dog was braver than he was and chased him down the tunnel. You remember that a few. I'll get to that headline in a minute. We kill this terrorist, Joe, Soleimani, a known international terrorist bathed in regional blood, again, for 20 years. And the Washington Post sends out this tweet with this absolutely bizarre but so typical of the Washington Post headline. Quote, Washington Post, breaking, airstrike at Baghdad airport kills Iran's most revered military leader? Qasem Soleimani, Iraqi state television reports.
What kind of crap is that?
It's Washington Post crap, Joe.
Dude,
revered military leader? You mean the terrorist savage who's been ordering the deaths of innocent people since 1998? You mean that guy? Or probably earlier than that. That's just when he took over the Quds Force.
That's right. Yeah. Sorry, dude.
No, that's you're not going to be sorry about. Remember this old gem by the Washington Post, too? This headline when we killed Baghdadi? Joe, remember this one? Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, austere religious scholar at helm of Islamic State, dies at 48. Oh, my gosh. Ladies and gentlemen, I will ask you again what I've asked you before. What side is the American media on? I'm not kidding. It's not a joke. It's not a hyperbolic statement for effect. It is an actual inquiry into your brains. I'm asking you a real question. I'm expecting you to ponder this as you're either sitting in your car or watching at home or watching us on YouTube or whatever you may be doing. What the hell? What side are they on? Baghdadi was an austere religious scholar. He was a terrorist. Soleimani was a trained international killer, savage terrorist, a revered military leader. Who the hell are you talking about? George Washington? Are you kidding me? Folks, the coverage got worse, shockingly. I debate Geraldo often. Sometimes we agree. Many times we disagree. Those of you who hear me on Fox at night, I usually do those debates on the Hannity show. I'm trying to work on a debate now. We'll see what happens. But this was Geraldo on Fox and Friends this morning. And thank God Brian Kilmeade, who I don't always agree with on foreign policy. I interviewed Brian Kilmeade myself. Brian's a close friend, and I told him we have disagreements on a lot of foreign policy. But thank God Brian Kilmeade and Ainsley Earhart were there to shut some of this nonsense down. Now, this clip's a little long. It's a little over. We try not to play anything more than a minute, but this is Geraldo, shockingly, who has an issue with President Trump taking out one of the world's #1 terrorists. Amazing. Listen to this.
6 months ago, Ainsley, this guy was our friend. 6 months ago, he was our friend. We may not have loved him, but he was our ally in the fight against ISIS. Do you remember, everybody? Do we remember ISIS? It's like ISIS never existed. ISIS had a caliphate. They were cutting people's heads off. Wait a second. They were burning Americans. We know who ISIS is. Who helped us defeat ISIS? This same guy, Soleimani. These same people, the Iranians.
Excuses for Iran. They choose.
Damn it, I'm not making excuses, Brian. That's absolute baloney.
Let me finish. Can I get a sentence out? You say that they are suffering under sanctions, they're withering under sanctions. They still choose to take that money and spend it on Islamic Jihad, Hamas, and Hezbollah, not their people. To the point where those people rose up when they rose up gas prices and food prices, and they've been protesting in their streets when their gas prices went up because they know their government's wasting money on other terrorist
forcing their
activities.
gas prices to come up with crushing sanctions
because
we pulled out of a deal that we had agreed to. We agreed to a deal. We pulled out of it.
He didn't pass it through our Senate and Congress because he couldn't. He didn't get Senator Schumer's vote on that or Ben Cardin's vote on that. We're supposed to digest that.
Your arrogance is exactly what's wrong with the region.
My arrogance, not agreeing with you is arrogant.
You think because,
not agreeing with you is arrogant.
You're not a frontline fighter that has to go back into Iraq. Again, you want Americans back in Iraq?
Who just got killed because
you want Americans back in Iraq?
Right. We have 5,400 there. You want them to be victims?
I was there when they were getting killed, Brian. I was there when they were getting killed 5, 6, 7 a day.
What does that mean?
Is that what we want again?
They were responsible for killing Americans. They supported the whole insurgency.
Why did we kill?
They supported the whole insurgency. That's okay?
This is a fraught decision.
I don't even know what that was. Is he crazy? And to be fair, I'll confront him directly. Matter of fact, Paula had a great idea. We should try to get him on the podcast for an interview. But that is one of the most frightening pieces of audio video I have ever heard. Are you kidding me? Soleimani and the Iranians were our friends because in their efforts to keep Assad in power in Syria, they did some things which may have aligned at some point, some focus point in time with a different U.S. interest. Do you think the Iranians were our friends and were doing that for us? Are you nuts? The Iranians' number one goal has been and always will be and has been consistent since the fall of the Shah is death to America. They don't do anything because they're our friends. I mean, that was one of the most bizarre statements I have ever heard on television. And thank God Brian Kilmeade called him out on our friends. Understand this, folks. Everything the Iranians do, and Stanley McChrystal has a really excellent piece out. It's a little old. I saw it yesterday on Twitter. It's an older piece about Soleimani, but a good one nonetheless, where he describes how the difference in the United States is we have elections. We're not a despotic tyranny. Foreign policy, Joe, changes. It changes sometimes every 4 years, sometimes every 8, with different presidents. That's the way constitutional republics and democracies work. He says that's not the way it works in Iran. They have been shockingly consistent since the fall of the Shah. And their consistent goal, Joe, has been death to America.
Death to America.
Do you not know this? Did you miss this? Everything they do, they don't do to align with our values. They do to destroy the United States and Israel while they're at it. And anyone who gets in their way. Because, with someone, I mean, it's like saying, I own a bank, a guy robs it, and because before he robbed the bank, he filled up his getaway car at a local gas station I support, that because we both support the gas station, that our goals were aligned. He robbed the bank. The fact that at some point they fought against people who are also our enemies doesn't mean they're our friends. That's not realpolitik, that's stupid politik.
You just heard The Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud. And follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.